What's going on, guys? So today we are out here at Colonia del Rey RV in Corpus Christi, and we got something special for you. Yep, this thing right here. This is an Airstream Basecamp. Now this is a pre-owned unit, but it's not very old. This thing is super cool, and I know there is a huge Airstream following, and quite frankly, I don't get an opportunity to film many Airstreams, so this is going to be kind of a special video for me as well. Anyways, we're going to take a close look at this thing from the inside and the outside and see what it's all about. Hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, before we get any further, let's take a look at the numbers on this Airstream. So this is going to have a gross vehicle weight rating of 3,500 pounds. This thing is super light. It's going to have a cargo capacity of 580 pounds. Not as super high, but again, it's super small and super light, so that really doesn't matter. It's going to ride on a single axle. Axle rating is 3,500 pounds, so it matches the gross vehicle weight rating of this unit, which is nice. And that axle is going to have 15-inch wheels and tires on it. So, yeah, this thing's pretty cool. I can already tell they're Goodyear tires on it. And before we take a look at the inside of this thing, let's talk about towability. Now, towability on something like this is going to be a lot different than other travel trailers that may be roughly the same size and weight, only because Airstream really goes out of their way to focus on towability. So you can tow this thing and make sure that wind moves around it, that it's very aerodynamic, and they're actually relatively fuel efficient for your tow vehicle because of how Airstream focuses on streaming the air around the unit. So the profile of the front, how it dips down, how the front is curved, all of that stuff plays into how something like this can tow. And just really one of the perks of going to an Airstream is you could get away towing this with vehicles that you might not normally be able to tow an RV this size. If you look at some of the other compact RVs, like maybe the Shamrock behind it, that unit, even if it were the same weight, which it's not, because it's taller, because it's wider, because it's flatter, and because the focus isn't so much on, aerodynamics that you get with an Airstream, it's going to tow a lot different. And you would probably need a bigger truck, even if the RV was the same size and weight, in terms of length. Now, another thing to keep in mind with Airstream is they're not inexpensive. You could probably buy 2 of those, maybe even 3 of those for the price of something like this brand new. So just keep that in mind as well. A lot of the stuff they do, you can see, is focused around air channeling around the unit, including this front area where you'd have your propane cans and batteries and such. Manual front tongue jack. For Airstream to do some of this stuff, it's for weight reduction. But I still think there are areas that Airstream could even improve, especially considering the price you pay for their units. But we're going to hop inside of this Basecamp X. We're going to take a look at it, and we're going to come back out to the outside and see what it's all about. And I'll point out a few things. So right off the bat, this thing's cool. I mean, the cool factor of an Airstream, you can't brag enough about it, because there's just something about an Airstream when you get inside of it. From the colors, the materials, just the way it looks, it's so cool. I mean, that's probably the best way of saying it. You get inside of an Airstream, it's almost like you're in a space pod in a movie. Super, super cool how they do things. And they maximize space and visibility, which is also really nice. I mean, check out the front window on this thing. If you're standing right here, just look at what you have visibility with, everything around you. And then they maximize space by putting cool hanging baskets, hooks everywhere, the way your sink is, set up when you're not using it, your 2-burner gas cooktop. You just have access to so many things in a different way than you might traditionally see it. Now, don't kid yourself, though. Some of the products are very similar and available to other manufacturers. It's just if they choose to put them. Like, this is all Dometic stuff. So this isn't some strange brand that you've never heard of specifically designed for Airstream. A lot of the materials, a lot of the stuff in here are brands that you've heard of every single day in the RV industry. Then you have your refrigerator, you have nice storage space, everything's trimmed off really nice. It doesn't mean that this is all solid wood either, so you want to keep that in mind, that a lot of this is a covering material. It's not absolute solid wood, but it could be plywood versus like particle board or MDF. You have your compact microwave right there, more storage below here. And then you have an area down here that looks like you can put dog food bowls, things like that, or even just dirty, muddy, wet shoes. Space over here for like spices and things. More storage over here. All your light switches. You have a little storage opening here. One of the stories with Airstream is just how they give you so much storage in areas that you typically may not see it in other RVs. And back here you have where all your pillows will pin up and lock in place. So you have this area here. This can convert into a big bed so you can sleep in this spot. You have a nice back door to get out of the RV if you want. There's a cool little mirror on this door for your wet bath. In here is a good size wet bath. You can see all the use of aluminum in these units. Very, very cool. What's funny is when you get into other pre-owned units, they typically smell like a pre-owned RV. Not a bad thing, but they smell different. When you get into an Airstream, it kind of smells like a motorhome, which is interesting. And then you can see how everything is curved off, how it's all aluminum up top. Looks really nice. More storage. You have your single Coleman mock air conditioning system up here. You also have a nice little table that plugs into the floor if you want to eat. Nice shaded windows that you can black out if you want to as well. Very, very cool. And then you have another little spot for a table right there for that plug-in on the floor. You have more little kind of bungee cord areas to be able to put this one as well. But super awesome. Now the only thing I don't really see a lot of in here is, you know, you don't have a ton of wardrobe storage. Now you have space like underneath these, so whenever you fold this out into the bed position, you can lift these areas up and you have storage underneath all this space. This side you don't, because you have some of your heating and some of your other appliances built underneath there. You can see the floor though, how it's a whole different type of floor than you would typically see in most RVs that have like a linoleum. This is more like the material you'd put in the back of a cargo trailer. A lot more durable. Super cool though. I like the little lights that you have up here that are recessed. Anyways, let's step outside and take a look at the outside of this unit, because there's still a lot to see there as well. It's a cool little area. All right, so we're going to start from the front, work our way back. This cover right here is where your propane is going to be, and I believe your batteries as well. Okay, so never mind, you have a hose up here. I know all the Airstream folks who watch the channel knew that when I said that there was going to be a hose up here, and they were like, ah, you didn't know what you were talking about. But I am relatively certain that your propane is possibly under here, and I can feel the tank, so I know that at least one propane tank, probably two, are underneath there. Now the process of changing out your propane, I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'm relatively new to the whole Airstream thing. All right, so a few things. For the price you're going to pay for one of these, and I don't even have to look at the price to know that it's a relatively expensive unit, I would have expected a front power tongue jack. I really would have. You know, it's not that expensive of an upgrade, and for the price of these, it just kind of makes sense to have one. Right here, this is the latch to hold your door open, which is nice. It's super cool, and it actually looks relatively expensive for what it is, but I would have expected a friction hinge door on here as well. So, you know, you don't have to always latch that thing or unlatch it. So a friction hinge door would have been really nice. Even though, again, they give you a relatively expensive setup right there. That said, you know, how much more would it have been to add the capability of a friction hinge? I do like this thing. So it has an integrated, magnetically held screen door. That is awesome. And I have never seen that on an RV, or at least a travel trailer, or even a fifth wheel before. That's a very, very innovative idea. Steel step. Another area they could have easily made at least the step platform aluminum. So an aluminum step there would have been really nice. And I'm basing that just on the price of Airstreams, because they are very expensive, and I'm trying to get you more for your money. You want to talk about a door closing though, man, talk about like very, very like automotive grade. That's awesome. Down here, I do know that it rides on a torsion suspension, so you're gonna have torsion suspension underneath there. This is gonna be a Goodyear Wrangler tire, which is also really nice. Nice beefy fender flares that you typically wouldn't see on most travel trailers. Got a nice outdoor outlet. That is a Furrion product. And you can see how the bottom of it is really well and enclosed. It's also, I believe, on a boxed frame. I could be wrong there, but I do think it's a boxed frame. Little protector here so you don't accidentally tear a jack off or something, or you hit your tire if you're on a steep approach. Well, that is kind of cool. This is that back door that we saw from the inside. Again, gives you that whole space pod kind of feel to it. And then you have your LED lights right here, LED little spotlights or little small indicators all the way around for your clearance lights, and your AC up top. Let's go around to the other side. All right, so on this side, you can see it has the same little protector down there. You have your water fill. You have your 30 amp connection right here. That's where you fill your potable water. and that's a Truma hot water heater, or water heater. And then you have another outlet right here, which I am not 100% sure. Okay, so that's your city water connection, and that's your potable water connection. It's kind of funny because Airstream is made or owned by Thor, who owns a lot of other brands, and it's made in pretty much the same place that all the other brands are made, but they use some things that are just a little bit different. And I'm not sure if it's just to keep up that nostalgia look of the whole Airstream, you know, trend, or if it's because it's the better product. It's hard to say. Sewer connections here, outside shower connection right here, and then you have something right here that I don't know what it is, so we'll see together. Honestly, I don't even know what that is, but it's got it there in case you're interested. I'm sure somebody who's an Airstream fan will know exactly what that is. Then you have these cool little wind deflector things that go around. Now these look like they can open up because there's little bolts that hold them in place here, and then there's hinge right here. But obviously they're not meant to just open up all the time because they wouldn't have used bolts, so you would have used a latch. So again, if you're an Airstream fan and you know exactly what those are for, please let me know. Very, very cool though. Very awesome unit. But guys, I would love to know what your opinion is on this. I'm gonna try to find the price on it here in a second, and then we'll kind of go from there. I might leave it in the description of this video. Anyways, guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.